Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristina and this is the Daydreamer Plans. Today we're going to talk about the Kinbor A6 planners that I have. There are these two. One of them is just a plain grid notebook and the other one is a day free. But before we get into that, I just want to talk about something a little bit strong, a little bit heavy, depending on where you're coming from in this journey. And this is something that I own up to, and something that I struggle with still almost every day, like your average American. And that is something called hyperconsumerism. And the reason why I want to talk about this subject really quick is because I'm finding that I'm kind of swimming in notebooks that are being not used. I've had this for like 2, maybe 3 years. It's still in the plastic, never been used. And then I, bought this one when I don't need it. I bought these two when I didn't need them. I have a Stalogy just on hand for who knows what. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of buying things I don't need, especially in the stationery world, because I have always loved stationery. As young as like 3rd grade, I remember collecting stationery. And so it's just kind of like, as I've grown up and I had a job and made money and could buy things, I, instead of saving, spent a lot of money on this stuff. And it's kind of come to a head. I mean, probably about a month, no, not a month, about a year ago, looking around me when I had to declutter because I have some hoarding tendencies and I just needed to address that. And just, I mean, the things that I have been keeping is absurd. I think maybe I'll do a video on that, like hyperconsumerism in the planner community and what does that look like. I'm a prime example. I'm not going to point the finger to anyone else because I mean, I'm guilty of it, but I wanted to just share with you what is, I mean, it's called different things. There's hyperconsumerism, there's excess consumerism, excessive consumption, conspicuous consumption, which I found that one interesting. The definition of that is, of conspicuous consumption is goods are often status symbols, as individuals buy them not so much to use them, but as to display them to others, sending associated meanings such as displaying wealth. However, according to other theorists, the need to consume in a hyper-consumption society is driven less by competition with others than by their own hedonistic pleasure. How many times is that true for me when I bought a bunch of new rolls of washi when I did not need that? I did not need the washi. I did not have a use for the washi. I just thought it was pretty, or it's limited edition, so I wanted to get it before it sold out, which means that I had to discover what the term ninja fingers really means. Just because, just buying because, not necessarily to like shove it in other people's faces that, haha, look what I got and you didn't, but like, this is kind of true, like my own hedonistic pleasure. Like, I just wanted that hit of euphoria when I snagged the very limited edition washi, which is why I have unfollowed Simply Gilded. And I have unfollowed the Simply Gilded box on Instagram, and I have unfollowed some other washi makers, not because, I'm trying to be mean or rude, but I'm just trying to protect myself from getting back into that very unhealthy game. And now I have to address this with myself. Like, I am a YouTube channel, a small one. I don't make any money from it. So why am I buying things I don't need? So my warning to you is, please don't ever feel like just because people like myself and others on Instagram that have all of these things, don't think that we have it all together or that we have a lot of money to be spending. We shouldn't be participating in this hyper-consumerism at all. Just buy what you need. I mean, all I needed this year was this little notebook and this little notebook from Hobonichi, and that's it. But yet somehow I've managed to acquire all these other ones. So please, 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 before you buy something online, think, do I really need this? How will I use it? And will it truly bring me pleasure, or is there something else going on here? So that being said, I will show you these two notebooks, but honestly, after this, I don't have any other new things to show you, and I'm very okay with that.
All right, so these are the A6s. They are basically true A6s, although every company seems to have a slightly different handle on what an A6 means, because there you can see there's a little bit of difference between a Stalogy and the Kinbor, although width-wise it's the same, so it's just height difference. And then here is a Hobonichi Day Free, and that's basically the same all around. So the Stalogy is a little bit very slightly larger. So we'll go with the respective duplicates, I guess we'll call it. So this notebook, the Kinbor Grid, is very similar to a Stalogy, but major differences. So obviously we can tell that this is, an all black notebook with no binding tape. And then this is like a thick, almost watercolor paper. It's textured, as you can see. And then it has this yellow binding tape, which is really pretty. It has some texture to it, and it's pretty good quality. The edges are nice and smooth. The corners have been rounded. Very nice notebook. It says Kinbor here in gold foil. And then this has like a off-white color, whereas the Stalogy is gray. And then, let me get a blank. And here you can see a huge difference between the two. So this is more like a Hobonichi grid, or Tomoe River grid, I should say, because Tomoe River uses like the same grid that's kind of like little dots, not a solid line, and it's also darker, whereas the Stalogy has like a light gray grid that is solid. They're also not the same size. The grid is definitely not the same size. Stalogy, you have all this up here with the year, month, day, and then this is just completely and 100% blank. So you actually don't get a year's worth of pages in here as you would with the Stalogy. So let me find my notes here. Super quick editor's note here. So it is this notebook, the blank grid notebook. This has 128 pages total. The Day Free is the one that has 210 dailies, or 105 of these total. So I'm going, counting front and back to make 210 dailies. Sorry about that confusion. and it has 80 GSM paper, whereas this is 52 GSM. So that's why you don't get a full year's worth, but they're the same width. They're both 14 millimeters in width here. And so that's kind of disappointing, actually, that you don't get a full year's worth. You get 210 days worth. So that must mean this is only 105 pages. Okay. So 210 dailies. If you're not going to be using your notebook every day, then this is a good option. Or if you use more than one page a day, then, you know, buy two while you're at it, and then you'll have enough for the full year. But I do think I prefer Stalogy in this case. Now, the thicker paper, the 80 GSM, is quite nice. It would probably be good for like multimedia, whereas you're kind of a little bit more limited with this 52 GSM. You also have a lot of ghosting with Stalogy paper. So I haven't tested it on this yet, so I'll have to do a pen test one of these days. And that basically is the Kinbor. There's really not much else to address here because it is just truly a blank notebook. And these are the 2 day-free notebooks. So let's go over the Kinbor first, because I have a major concern with it. It has that same like really thick textured paper for the front, but the binding tape is kind of like this really thin ribbon material. It's very silky, and I think you can hear this. I'm not super impressed. It's really thin. You can hear the glue kind of breaking away. And I don't think that this is going to be a good long-term solution. Or not solution. I just don't think this is going to hold up long-term. I think you'll probably end up having to buy your own binding tape online and redoing it, or at least placing it over this. So just be aware. But I mean, other than that, it does appear like the spine has been put together well. It's just not being held this way very well. And now the Hobonichi has binding tape on it. This stuff is like not holding up so well either, though, to be fair. And I have always kept it in some sort of cover. I don't just like chuck it around in this, you know, in this naked state. Okay. It always has a cover. So I'm actually pretty disappointed in that. I would think better things of Hobonichi, but here we are. And it has this blue thick paper. It has like this manila color, so a little darker. They both have the title pages going into the yearly overview. And since this is more about the Kinbor than the Hobonichi, I do want to show you this page. I'm not a fan of this page at all. And that's because they pre-wrote the numbers for you. And then you have to write in the corresponding days up above, which means it's going to be all over the place. It's not ever going to always be a Monday or a Sunday start. That would mess with my head. I'm sure it will mess with a lot of other people. So my suggestion would be to just, print and paste a different one from online for your corresponding year. And then it comes to this page, which is your month at a glance. I'd never use these pages, but you do get 12 months worth. You can just write the month here, whatever little tasky things you want, if you want to do that here, or you can just kind of treat this as like a running list for whatever day. It's 1 through 31. And then it goes straight into your monthlies. These are better. These are better. So that's the good news. It's always a Monday start. So you are going to have to write in the dates, I should say, which I personally am fine with. And then you do get this little sidebar here. And then up above, it has the months. So you can circle the month if you want, or that would be easy to just really cover up. And you get 12 months of those. And then we come to the dailies. I wrote some notes here because I'm just a little bit of a stationery nerd and I want to have all the information for you guys. So this is also 80 GSM paper. It's 128 pages total, and it's also 14 millimeters wide, or wide this way, not wide this way. But let's go to the next page. The one thing that I was really excited about this one is that it's truly a blank grid for the dailies, not like the Hobonichi where they take up an enormous amount of usable space with quotes. So I thought that I initially wouldn't mind that, but I have found that I do mind that, and I mind it quite a bit. So I will not be purchasing this notebook ever again. So I got this one. However, Kinbor does make one where all the calendars are filled in for that appropriate year. They're just all sold out by the time I decided I wanted to try this. So next year, come like October, I'll start sneaking on AliExpress to see when they come out. But this is, you know, it's still timed here on the side. We have 6 through 18, and then just some dots here. It's that same Tomoe River looking grid, although I cannot confirm that this is Tomoe River. In fact, I don't think it is. I don't think Tomoe River makes an 80 GSM. I think the highest they go is like is it 65, 67 GSM maybe? Doesn't even get to 70. So this is that, you know, if you want that thicker paper, thicker coated paper, then, you know, this is a good option. It does appear to be pretty, you know, pretty well made paper. So we have some Chinese characters up here. It says to do, and I think this says weather, although it's been a while since I looked that up. You do not get a full year's worth, unfortunately. So is this the one that's 210? Yes, so I think this is 210 days worth, whereas the Hobonichi, you get 171 dailies. The Kinbor site on AliExpress is a little interesting. Then in the back you have these like tearaway pages, which is pretty interesting. It's kind of like sticky notes, but without the sticky part. So you can just, you know, you write something down and tear it out as you need it. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of those tearaway pages. And then it is just this blank flyleaf, and then that's the back of the notebook.
And that is all I have for you today, and that's all I guess I'm gonna have for a little while when it comes to showing new product. I do have another project that I'm gonna be bringing to you, and that is how to make your own cover using just paper. And you're going to need some double-sided tape, and you're going to need a laminating machine and some string, and then I'm going to show you how to make one of these to fit any size notebook you have. So that is going to be next, and if you have, you know, anything that you want to tell me, what current stationery materials are you crushing on right now, let me know. I'm not going to buy them, but go ahead and tell me what is new and exciting in your world. So thanks for stopping by and watching, and I will see you very soon.